The Prime Minister has said that the West can't accept a world where a powerful country is able to bully one of its neighbours. And that's the current situation in Ukraine. And it's the biggest security crisis Europe has faced for decades. Well, joining me now to discuss this is Ben Hodges. He is the former Commanding General of the United States Army in Europe and is now the presiding chair in strategic studies at the Centre for European Policy Analysis. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Hodges. Thank you for joining us.
Sarah-Jane, thank you for the privilege.
The Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said the stakes are very high. You have recently been to Ukraine. You'll have seen the images of Russian troops on the border with Ukraine. What's your assessment of the situation as it stands at this moment?
Well, your Prime Minister is exactly right. This is a very dangerous time. I would say it is almost for certain that there will be a new Russian attack probably before the end of this month. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong, but I have seen no sign of any intention on the Russian side to de-escalate. The arrival of these Russian Navy vessels in the Black Sea would have been an opportunity for them to slow things down or to indicate that they were interested in de-escalation. Instead, they moved through there as quick as possible to get more capability into the Black Sea. So I think that, I don't see any sign of de-escalation yet.
Diplomacy talks continue, though. We've seen it happening on a number of fronts today. We saw President Macron from France in Russia earlier this week. The British Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, there today, getting a frosty reception from her counterpart, who said when talking to the British today, it was like talking to somebody who is deaf and dumb. They just don't get it. Russia are not stepping back. If Russia do make that move and there's an incursion or an invasion of Ukraine, what then do Western allies do? We've seen today the Prime Minister Boris Johnson with British troops in Ukraine, but he's been very clear there will be no boots in Ukraine.
Well, first of all, I was impressed with the Foreign Secretary. I saw the picture of her standing next to Mr. Lavrov, and clearly that was a tough session, and I think she probably delivered a very firm message from UK on behalf of the West. Remember, President Zelensky has not asked for any troops to come to Ukraine. No American, no British, no German. So there's no pressure to send troops into Ukraine. Obviously, he needs the continued material support. As he said, I had the chance to speak with him about 10 days ago. The tools that Ukraine needs to defend itself, as well as financial support, because what Russia is doing is wrecking Ukraine's economy, and that this is a real concern of his as well. I think of what Russia's doing as a boa constrictor, if you will, around Ukraine to continue to squeeze it. I don't think Russia actually wants to launch a new attack on top of what they've already done, but they've got everything in place to do that in hopes that Ukraine will blink or that we will blink.
Yeah, what are military options then if there is an incursion or an invasion? As you said, NATO forces are in that region, the UK bolstering those forces today by sending troops to Poland. What are the military options as it stands at the moment? As you said, Ukraine haven't invited any other countries in, but what are the options on the table?
Well, really a good point. And I think that maybe it was a mistake for my president to say that that's not on the table. The option of troops in Ukraine is not on the table. Even if we never intended to send them there, why would you say that up front that we're not going to do that? But we are where we are. So the alliance is taking steps to make sure that our allies along the eastern flank are better protected and are prepared should a Russian attack spill over somehow into NATO territory, such as in Poland or Lithuania or something like that. I am a little bit more concerned about the possibility of something happening in the Black Sea, either in the airspace or in international water, where Russian forces in the conduct of amphibious operations might do something to push away reconnaissance aircraft or international shipping in international waters. This is where you could end up with a possibility of a physical confrontation. But our options are kind of limited in terms of direct military action that could happen there. Instead, I believe what we ought to be doing is looking for how do we get the initiative? How do we get the Russians to look into a different direction? If we had a better relationship with our Turkish ally, perhaps Turkey could begin to squeeze the straits a little bit for violations by the Russian Navy, for example, or maybe we quarantine the Russian Navy base in Tartus in Syria, things that cause them to look in a different direction.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Turkey. Turkey hasn't really been that much of the conversation over the last few weeks. Germany has and has come in for some criticism. But yeah, you mentioned Turkey there, and that is a key point to make. Ben Hodges, we really appreciate your expertise this afternoon here on Sky News. Thank you so much. Ben Hodges is a former commanding general of the United States Army in Europe, and that was his take on the Ukraine.